Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadiya Kaltsum with student number 060112820250044. So today I'll do a reviewing material on our course Critical Reading for this whole semester. So in this video I'll do three parts. The first part is that explaining the material that I've got from this learning, and the second, telling my own experience in this class or my favorite learning activities during the class, and then I will giving my own example how I apply knowledge that I've got during this class in my daily life. So let's start with the first, explaining the materials that I've got from this whole semester's about critical reading. So first, I've got about what does it mean from critical reading. So critical reading is that when you reading a text or a book or a magazine, you're asking yourself about what is not only about what is material written, but how the material is written. And we're also learning about why is critical reading is important on a college, because in college we have to ask a question, and then that's why we have to do critical reading, because by reading critically we're not only asking about what is the idea, but also how is the ideas written. And also we've learned about 7 critical reading strategies. The first is that previewing. What is previewing? Previewing is learning about the text before we read it. And then we have contextualizing, or placing our basic knowledge to the reading, questioning to understand and remember the material. We're asking ourselves about the material, reflecting on challenge to belief and values, outlining and summarizing the material. So we're reading, we're outlining the material, and also we summarize it in our own word, evaluating an argument, and comparing and contrasting related readings, or we're exploring another material to make our own arguments about the reading, just like the next chapter that we'll learn, and I will explain it later. And also we've learned about what is assumption. Assumption is that something you assume to be the case even though without a proof. So for example, before we reading a novel, they have a chapter, or they have what we call it, they have cover on it, and then we see that the cover is interesting, so we assume that the material inside the novel is also interesting. That what we call as assumption. And also we've learned about synthesizing. And synthesizing is that reading a multiple text to make a new argument or new statement from that source, from the multiple reading itself. And how can we check the synthesizing? We can check it whether we've done it or no by checking whether our new word is based on our word. Is that is it a big idea supported the multiple source? Is that new ideas, or the statement is regarding or supporting to the multiple source? And also in this critical reading we've learned about evaluating argument and claims. So we've learned about what is argument. An argument presents a logical reason and evidence to support our viewpoints. And for example, the example of claim is that we say that cigarettes or smoking can make our body unhealthy, so we give the proof as it, or we give our reason why smoking is dangerous. So that's what we call as claim. And in this course critical reading, we've got a lot of assignment to analyze the text. So we've given a text, and we have to analyze it by asking ourselves the question, why was material written, what is the purpose, who is the author, might the author be biased, or who is the author intended audience, and other question that we have to analyze with the material. And also the second part, telling my own experience or in this class or my favorite learning during this class. Well, honestly, I love when we're presenting our assignment to analyze the text or a magazine or things like that, and then we have to present it. And I love when I present my own learning or my own work, and then people have to criticize it, or I criticize my friend's work. And I love that part when we're learning the material, because I can reading people works, and then I have to criticize whether this is true or false. And my own example of how I apply the knowledge that I got during this class in my real life. So we've learned about arguments, claim, we've learned about assumption, and analyzing the text. So what I've my own example of apply this knowledge is that when I read a text or a broadcast or or online news, and then I have to analyze it whether this is a good online news, or this whether this author is biased or no, or whether I have to believe this material, because nowadays we have a lot of hoax news, right? And by by learning critical reading, I can make myself more I can acknowledge myself about the material that I'm going to learn, or news reading that spread in the social media. That was I've learned from this critical reading. And for example, we have a news that we don't know who is the author. We have to questioning ourselves whether is this a good news, or do we have to believe this news, because we don't know the authors. Does the author qualify to write this material, right? And I myself become aware about the material that spread on social media, and that how I apply the knowledge of critical reading to my daily self, my daily activities. And that's all for my reviewing video. I hope that you understand what I've explained before. Thank you so much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.